In this episode, we're gonna turn this barren beach into a beautiful beach paradise. And as we will build quite a lot of small to medium-sized builds, this might be a treasure trove for inspiration for your own world. But most importantly and first of all, we have to set the right mood. Yeah, also like that, but that wasn't even what I was referring to. You see, we have that pirate village serving as our backdrop, but if you look behind that pirate village, we have a bit of spruce forest, which is wonderful. I feel very much at home here. You could think I'm a spruce tree myself. Not quite, but we are related. I want to turn the back of the island into a jungle, so it fits nicely with the theme, and we end up with something very coherent and also very distinct from our main island. But as this is quite a tedious and repetitive process, I throw you right into a time-lapse. But don't worry, we will get into all those smaller builds and immersive details right after. So, lean back and enjoy! And our fancy backdrop is done. And we agreed with very different kinds of foliage, small trees, small bushes, medium-sized trees, as well as large palm trees. And I just realized I forgot something very critical. How have I not thought of cocoa beans? Seriously. I mean, I could have just added them in, you wouldn't have noticed, unless you watched the long play of me building up the jungle. Then you know. And we have a little bit of our central area where there's a small drip leaf parkour. Nothing too fancy, but we can climb. Why do they even allow me to do that? You can climb up all the way to here, which I think is rather neat. And you also notice we have those small stone structures or deposits lying around. I haven't really decided if they are from ancient sunken structures or if they are just debris, you know, just random cobblestone flying around. I guess you can make up your own story. I also remembered we had more... Now I want to have 3. More leaf smelting, so we can add a little bit more of greebling that way. And I have left a little bit of a beach, of a sandy area directly behind the buildings. So there's a bit of a transitional zone. I don't know. So you can still walk around easily behind here, as the jungle itself is a little bit treacherous. It's not too bad. You know, quite honest, a vanilla jungle is much worse. But it is full. Okay, I think especially here I wanted to have more leaves. Now to kinda blend in the hard border. And you know those jungle leaves, they are of course, as this is not a jungle biome, have the regular biome tint, which is very dark, which is something I try to avoid in here, but it has those green pebbles, which kind of look like fruit, which is something I very much love, and it makes it it fits nonetheless. Then we of course have those very purposely dark orange bushes. Yes, in this world oranges grow on bushes. Don't ask me why, it's just how it is. And that of course is resin. And of course, as you might have already noticed, the cactus flower also, I think, fits in perfectly here. I have a few hidden around, not too many. And yes, towards the sides a little bit more open, what we have this tree hanging over into the sea, enclosing that area a little bit to make it all a bit more immersive. And I think generally on the immersiveness, yeah, the different layers, they certainly help. I like it, and the vines are already getting kinda out of hand. Oh well. But with all that nonsense out of the way, which actually isn't really what I had planned for today, let's finally start with the actual beach. I think we will start with some small market type kinda stands where you can get, you know, refreshments and like that. Then we certainly need boats. And then we need some treasure. But let's start with the little huts. So I guess the first hut would probably go somewhere here. And I really don't want to make it too huge. Well, maybe some trapdoors to give it a bit of a trim. That would be kind of the entrance. Oh, we still need a back wall. Maybe that's important. And then just something like that. I guess that is what I want. To have the vendor a little bit higher up than the customer. I mean, mostly. Yeah, I think that works. Then we just have to figure out what it actually is that we can buy here. And most likely, these are gonna be some drinks. Do I have some sugar anywhere? Maybe in my ender chest. Oh, come on. Of course, the ender chest is still on the beach. Here we go. And then we're gonna extend them. So we have some wonderful swiftness potions. Exactly what you need in the summer. A little bit of extra energy. Who looks like they would be selling energy drinks? Maybe the pillager head. You know, he looks a little bit unhealthy, so I guess that makes sense. Take it. Come on, take it. Oh, you want it? Here we go. And then maybe also give him some clothes, maybe. I know it's the beach and it's blazing hot, but still we can't have that. And is... oh yeah, because of the armor stand. That guy's now floating, which is also not ideal. Even though... with the leather boots, probably not anymore. Well, let's look down into the skeleton spawner and see what we can find. Yeah, that kinda was a waste of a rocket. Oh! Toni! What the hell was that? So much about a waste of a rocket. You know, but at least I can do parkour when I'm panicking. Where was I? Ah, yeah. Exactly, I wanted to look for some armor. You know, not for me, because no amount of armor in the world could save me. There isn't too much available, to be quite honest. Thought we had more. Alright, alright. It's a start, I suppose. Okay, well then that guy's no longer floating. It's exactly what we want. Yeah, maybe let's leave him shirtless. That's fine. And maybe another armor stand just to have a potion standing up on the table. Or should we just use an item frame? No. Let's be fancy about that. I guess that's kind of what we want. Nope. Good. Then we just have to nudge it. Yep, I guess that's what we want. And then we just lock it. Wonderful. And our second item will be melon. Because what better thing is there to eat on a hot summer day on a beach than watermelon, right? And for that stall, I'm gonna use a material I have not used in this world before, believe it or not. And maybe if you're eagle-eyed, you also notice that this isn't quite the vanilla texture. Or at least not the vanilla color. I made it a little bit brighter, so it matches the bamboo as well as the mangrove wood as, in my honest opinion, the default acacia texture is just a little bit too dull. I don't really like it. And a bright orange wood has just been missing, or is missing in this game, so I made it myself. And I guess that goes perfectly with the bamboo and also the melons themselves, even though they don't have any orange in them. They're also very bright and very colorful. And I just hope this visually works. Just about enough so we don't have to farm any acacia. And what to do with those awkward gaps? Maybe fences? Yeah, I guess. I almost forgot. We definitely need a sign for this other stall as well, right? What do we call it? Some kind of a cringy energy drink name. Dolphin's Grace. I think that works fine. Then we just... yeah, and we also need to dye it. And you know, so much about a blazingly hot day on the beach. More like a blazingly wet day on the beach. Yeah, much better. And the other side. And that stall shall be called Sandy's Melons. Because of Sandy. you know. Yeah, I know, that's a terrible pun, but just bear with me. And I guess that will be Sandy, due to the lack of a better alternative. All that, by the way, is an armor stand because that is a half slab. But let's turn Sandy around a little bit because she looks a little bit bored. Oh, give me that back. Come on. And I guess Sandy will be left-handed. And then maybe let's clean up that mess that's still left from, you know, growing mangrove trees. Oh, and that is a floating carpet. You can't place them like that, but sometimes they just generate. And I guess now it's time for some more tree building. But don't worry, I will not make you watch all of that, I'm just going to use some editing magic. Hello, turtles. Would you like to be fed? Yeah, that's certainly a yes, isn't it? Here you go. Make some babies, please. Hi, friend. You only get fed if you have a friend. There's one over there. Come on, buddy. You know you want that. Uh-huh. You know you do. Gosh, the attention span of these guys. Why am I even doing that? And where's now that guy gone? Oh, come on. Well. No, all of the turtles are gone. Which is quite sad. Oh, there it is. Gosh. Okay. Come on now, don't make it so difficult, please. And can we silk touch them? I think we can. Right? Oh yes. Well, the mother turtle isn't too happy about that apparently. But that's what's going to happen. Sorry. What about the others? No clue where they left their eggs. Apparently not here. However, there's one. I finished all the palm trees we need, at least for now, and I'm so done of building trees. But we have now one over here, one over there, actually two, and another one there. And then we need, of course, actual beach equipment, so towels, sun umbrellas, you know what I mean. I guess red will be the color to go and maybe white for contrast. And maybe let's try to do those umbrellas also with a bend in them. You know, not quite straight, but a little bit queer. Then we get rid of the corner ones and replace them with carpets. Even though, quite honestly, I'm not sold on that. Maybe should return to the half slab way of doing things. Yeah, that's not good. You know, there really should be half slabs of wool. That would be a very useful block. We could use snow on the beach. Maybe not. Maybe that's a bit too much. You know, if we do it like that. If we do it like that. Oh, come on, Toni. Now that is starting to get a little bit silly. Yeah, but I think we can work with that, right? Yeah, I guess that works. But maybe we should still complete the ring of the trapdoors. That would probably look better. Even though it makes the whole process a lot more expensive. And then we just need some towels. And it's perfect, really. Now we just need a whole lot more of them. Oh, there are the other eggs. Maybe we'll leave them there and hope for the best. Put a lantern beside them. And speaking about lanterns, I guess we should put a few around. Just so the beach isn't quite as dark at night. And a few mugs would probably also be a good idea. Not just for some drawings that people have scattered around. I think I want to have also one little lamppost all the way on the tippity top of that island. And one somewhere in between. Okay, then I guess the main part of the beach pretty much is done. However, this wouldn't be a pirate island without a singular ship. I mean, we have the Clipper back there, but technically that's not part of the island. So we need some small vessels all around here. Nothing too fancy, but also nothing too boring. And I'm not sketching that out in creative beforehand, I'm just going to wing it and hope for the best, which with boats is always a bit scary. Guess we start here with the lowest part of the boat. Come on, squid, get out of the way. Maybe that's even a little bit too rapid of a change. You know, for the shape of a boat, it's very important that it's flowing right. That you don't have any nasty steps. So I probably want to have some slabs first. And then probably some stairs, which look fine. Right? Yeah, that works. But towards the top it's the same deal, just the other way around. That you want to somehow smooth it out. Something like that. But you always have to be careful that it doesn't become too massive if you don't want it to be. And looking at it, it is quite low down, isn't it? I think we maybe should bring it one step further up. Is it thundering? Or why is it getting so awfully dark? Alright, that looks already a lot better, doesn't it? Then let's remove those for now, and let's see about the back. Are we happy with that? It might be a bit short. Yeah, a bit too short. Are our turtle eggs doing fine? Seems like it. Awesome, then to step number 2. Why is there a squid dying? Come on, guy. The water was directly behind you. Okay, I think the hull is more or less done. It's a small ship, but I think it has a good shape to it. Of course, it's too small to really have a proper floor underneath the first deck, so I guess we just fill it up with barrels for storage. And then we're about at the right height. We might even want to cover it up with trapdoors. That will probably look good. Even though it will also be very expensive. And maybe half slab in the middle, so we have a bit of a curvature like you would find it on a real roof. On a real roof? On a real ship, of course. Maybe let's attach those towards the middle so they fold up this way. Oh no, we can't use half slabs. Dummy. Because then you can't access the chests. Well, then it will be even more expensive, I suppose. But at least we can then hide a crafting table underneath one of them. I've exchanged now all the trapdoors where there's nothing underneath, with just half slabs to make it a little bit cheaper, and I think it also gives it a bit more shape. And then we need to include a sail, of course. Should we just go with a black sail? You know, not saying that this is a pirate ship, but maybe alluding to it would probably make sense. It's a weird ship. A little bit weird, but I think it's coming together. I also readjusted the shape at the back a little bit, so it's more rounded. I think it needs more texturing, but first of all, the most important thing, you need a steering wheel, which I'm just gonna use Electron because it kinda looks important, even though it doesn't look like a steering wheel, but it gives, you know, more texture, more fine detail like any blocks or even trapdoors could do. And then we have to think about what we can do to give it texture. I guess some stripped oak to give the sides a bit more, a different texture. Yep, that certainly helps. As well as some lanterns here and there, of course. So it's not quite as dark. And how about a few signs? Nope, don't write anything on them. Yep, just like that. And maybe also here some lily pads. Should be doable, of course. Well, we need one more, but we don't have one more. That's a bit of an issue. Let's maybe have a boat in between there. Ouch. Does that work actually? It kinda messes with your movement. You see that judder makes it kinda impossible to jump without a pause. Yeah, what is that? You see how I'm bobbing up and down. Is that a bug? That's interesting. I don't think that's supposed to be that way. Okay, then maybe that is a bit of a broken parkour. But that's alright. That's alright with me. Then I guess we call that ship Moon Shadow. If I can do that without drowning. Ah! Or misplacing blocks. Wonderful. Then we just need to repeat it on the other side. And I guess as this name is now kinda close to the edge, we might want to add another block there. For another slab. Or maybe not a slab, but just a stair. Probably be already enough. Yep, that looks much better. I guess that trip is done. With a small impossible parkour. And you know, I was thinking, the beach of course is already sand, exactly what we want. However, having just sand, there's a little bit bland, so maybe I try to have a little bit of texturing. Especially up here where the jungle meets the beach, it would probably look good. I have to be careful about my shovel. Yeah, I think I like that. We don't have to do it everywhere. We'll go too ham on it, but just to soften the edge. And I also will put back the leaves, so we still have that layer of texturing. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Also, I think that edge could be drastically improved. And you know, you can decide for yourself if the birch is now supposed to be wood or if it's sand, or maybe wood covered with sand. I guess that's up to you. At least visually that makes a lot more sense. But we maybe also want to try it further down. Just around some spots. Don't want to be too particular about it. Just for a little extra. And gosh, these guys breathing. You know, it sounds like they're all very old men. That have a heavy time breathing because they were smoking their whole life. That's how they're sounding. Good to see that our friend Carl is still there. Not going anywhere. Not now, not soon, not anytime. Right, warrior? Yeah. Warrior doesn't care either. And what we now need to do is a little bit of terraforming, because I've realized beaches in Minecraft are always very, very steep. They're not really like, you know, a real beach where it's just shallow water where you can go in and where it slowly but surely gets deeper the further you go. Oh, here it's just a straight cliff into the abyss. So I want to change it a little bit, not too much, and make it a bit more elven friendly, you could say. And I think the beach looks much better that way. We still have that outcropping, but this is much smoother, and we have a bit of an area where you can, you know, stand in water without going under the water. It is of course still fairly steep. Maybe we could fill in even more and have it more of a steady decline. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. And also, I've added a second ship. I didn't show you the process as it's really exactly the same thing, just a little bit shorter. And technically a little bit wider. And it's just a small storage. Well, not storage, merchant ship. We could use it for storage, but, you know, just stuff cluttered about, and for some reason that door's open. And I will call this small ship Midnight Rose. Because the rare Midnight Blue Rose has kinda that purplish color. Sometimes, I don't know, I don't have any idea about flowers, I just googled that. So that seems fitting. And yes, that sail, by the way, is supposed to be rolled up. That's why it might look a little bit awkward. I don't know, I hope it gets the idea across. But yeah, I love this little ship. It's very quaint, but I think it has all the necessary ship characteristics. Oh, and as a quick update on last episode's build, I've roughened up the texture of the shanty saloon a little bit by adding some planks into the mix to give the impression that the coating is chipping off. Exactly the same as we have done with our windmill before. Yeah, especially with the pirate village, I think that makes a lot of sense and gives just a little bit more visual interest. And then, as a last little thing, I've also added some boats around. I mean, some boats. Many boats around. As you know, we have 2 ships, but we also need small vessels. Now imagine in each and every one of them a passenger. Yeah, I mean, it's a single player world after all. There isn't too much we can do about that. Maybe we catch some mobs eventually. That can be our passengers. But still, I think that adds a lot of atmosphere. And while I do realize I was promising you some treasure, and it's now coming towards the end of the episode and there still hasn't been any treasure, I have decided to dedicate that its own episode, as it will be a lot of terraforming, a lot of work actually. To help us with that work, we will also try to find a new mob. A new happy mob. Next episode. So if you're curious about that and want to see how I will incorporate some treasure into that wonderful beach paradise, then make sure to subscribe. Take care. See you soon. Bye! And those turtles, by the way, still haven't hatched. Not even cracked. Am I doing something wrong? Or does it just need time? Probably just needs time.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to That's the beginning of a very special series for me. Well, it's actually my first on my channel, but also my very first Minecraft world.